I'm Nadia, 32 years old, and I just caught my coworker Jessica glaring at me from across the office again. 8 months ago, I wouldn't have believed that losing 70 pounds would make someone hate me. But here I am, preparing for a presentation that could earn me a substantial bonus while dealing with workplace hostility. Before I tell you how my weight loss journey turned into a workplace nightmare. Let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever dealt with toxic coworkers. 3 years ago, my divorce left me feeling lost and focusing entirely on my career. I've been working at this mid-sized tech company in Seattle for 5 years now, moving up from entry-level to becoming a respected marketing specialist. My personal health took a back seat during those years until my annual physical last year when my doctor warned me about being pre-diabetic. Nadia, your blood work shows you're heading toward diabetes if you don't make some changes. Doctor. Miller explained, her face serious but kind. Your family history combined with these numbers concerns me. That warning was the wake-up call I needed. I had watched my father struggle with type 2 diabetes for years, and I didn't want to follow the same path. I immediately researched nutrition and exercise programs, consulted with a registered dietitian, and developed a sustainable lifestyle change plan. Over the next 8 months, I lost 70 pounds through consistent exercise and mindful eating. It wasn't quick or easy, but it was steady progress that felt sustainable. My energy levels soared, my preliminary blood work improved dramatically, and for the first time in years, I felt physically confident. Our office had about 40 employees, with my marketing team consisting of 6 people. Mark, our team lead, was a fair and supportive manager who recognized hard work. He'd been with the company for 12 years and had a reputation for developing talent within his team. Your campaign ideas have really elevated since you started here, Mark told me during my last performance review. The creativity and research that goes into your presentations shows your dedication. Then there was Jessica, the antagonist in my story. Thin, always fashionably dressed, and quick to form opinions about others. She'd been with the company for 4 years. People walked on eggshells around her unpredictable moods and sharp comments. Jessica always positioned herself as the office trendsetter and social coordinator, determined to be the center of attention. Alicia was my closest ally at work. We'd started within months of each other and bonded over late nights finishing client proposals. She was the first to notice the tension brewing. Just a heads up, Alicia whispered one day at the coffee machine. Jessica seems annoyed by all the compliments you're getting. She made some comment about people paying too much attention to appearances. Dana, our HR manager, completed the cast of key players. I didn't know much about her, except that she handled all personnel issues and seemed to have a close friendship with Jessica. They often arrived together and took lunch at the same time, laughing like old friends. The first signs of trouble started subtly. Jessica would make loud comments when I brought my lunch to the break room. Ugh, diet culture is so toxic, she announced to no one in particular as I unpacked my meal prep container. People obsess over calories instead of just enjoying food. I brushed it off initially, understanding that everyone has opinions about health and nutrition. But then she started bringing donuts and pastries, specifically placing them on my desk, with notes saying, "Live a little." When I politely declined, she'd make a show of looking disappointed and tell others I was no fun anymore. The timing couldn't have been worse. Our team was developing a marketing campaign for a major client that could significantly expand our company's portfolio. Success meant potential bonuses of around $5,000 for team members who contributed significantly, a bonus I was counting on to help pay off the last of my divorce lawyer bills. During a team meeting to discuss the campaign strategy, Mark pointed to my recent work examples. Nadia has really shown dedication both personally and professionally, he said. The same determination she's applied to improving her health has been evident in her campaign concepts. I think we can all learn from that level of commitment. I noticed Jessica's face tighten at the comparison. After the meeting, she didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. The office congratulations about my transformation were overwhelming and unexpected. Colleagues I barely spoke to would stop by my desk to ask about my secret or comment on how different I looked. "You look amazing. What's your trick?" became a question I heard daily sometimes from the same people repeatedly. I always answered honestly. No real secret, just better food choices, portion control, and consistent exercise. My doctor's been monitoring my progress. Jessica's behavior grew increasingly hostile following these interactions. While others were supportive, she seemed to take my health journey as a personal affront. One morning, she loudly announced across the open office, "Did you know that 95% of diets fail? The body always returns to its set point. It's actually healthier to stay at your natural weight." Then came the donut offensive. Jessica started bringing baked goods to the office 3 or 4 times a week, making a show of offering them to everyone. She'd place them prominently on my desk, despite my polite requests not to. "You can't deprive yourself forever," she'd insist. "One donut won't kill you." When I still declined, she'd sigh dramatically. "Suit yourself? More for the rest of us who actually enjoy life." The lunch invitations to the rest of the team became obvious exclusions. Jessica would gather a group sometimes, including my friend Alicia, and announce, "We're heading to that new pasta place. You probably wouldn't want to come, Nadia, since they don't have salads." Even when I explained that my eating wasn't restrictive and I could enjoy restaurant meals in moderation, the exclusion continued. The situation came to a head during a team meeting where Mark was reviewing everyone's contributions to the upcoming client presentation. "Nadia's market research for the target demographic is exactly what we needed," Mark said, showing slides I'd prepared. "She stayed late 3 evenings last week refining these numbers, and it shows. This kind of dedication is what will win us this client." Jessica shifted in her seat, tapping her pen loudly against her notebook. After the meeting, she cornered me in the break room while I was refilling my water bottle. "Some people have real problems in life," she said, blocking my exit. "Not just wanting to fit into smaller clothes. You know that, right? It's pretty shallow to think losing weight makes you better at your job." Stunned by the direct confrontation, I kept my response professional. "My health and my work are separate things, Jessica. I'm just doing my best at both." "Whatever," she scoffed. "Just don't expect everyone to worship the ground you walk on because you stopped eating carbs." I tried to focus on the project, often staying late to perfect my portion of the presentation. The client was a fitness equipment company looking to rebrand for a broader market beyond serious athletes. My personal experience with beginning a fitness journey as a non-athlete gave me valuable insight into their potential new customers. About 2 weeks before our presentation date, Alicia pulled me aside after a meeting. "I thought you should know," she said quietly. "Jessica's been telling people you have an eating disorder. She told Sarah from accounting that you're obsessive and unhealthy about food." I was shocked. "That's completely untrue. My doctor is actually thrilled with my progress." Alicia nodded. "I know that, but Jessica seems really threatened by you for some reason. Just be careful, she has Dana from HR wrapped around her finger." Taking Alicia's advice, I scheduled a brief meeting with Dana to address the rumors before they spread further. I expected support, or at least neutrality, from an HR professional. Instead, Dana seemed skeptical from the moment I entered her office. "So you're concerned about workplace gossip?" she asked, her tone already dismissive. "I'm concerned about false medical claims being spread about me," I clarified. "Jessica has been telling colleagues I have an eating disorder, which is untrue and potentially damaging to my professional reputation." Dana tapped her pen on her desk. "Have you considered that your significant physical change might be disruptive to the office environment? People notice these things." I left the meeting feeling uneasy. That evening, I requested a quick chat with Mark to express my concerns about team dynamics. "I'm worried that personal issues might affect our project. I explained without direct accusations. I'm committed to this presentation, but there seems to be some tension. Mark assured me that results would speak for themselves. Just keep producing excellent work like you have been. That's what ultimately matters. With the presentation approaching, I stayed late most evenings perfecting slides and practicing my talking points. I was determined not to let office politics derail this opportunity. The morning of our client presentation arrived, and I dressed carefully in a navy blue dress that projected professionalism. When Jessica walked in, wearing an almost identical outfit, I knew it wasn't coincidental. She smirked as colleagues noted the matching clothes. "Great minds think alike," she said loudly, "though some of us have been wearing this size for years." During the presentation to our potential client, Jessica interrupted me multiple times. "What Nadia means to say is," she'd cut in, or, "actually, the research suggests something slightly different." Despite these interruptions, the client seemed impressed with the campaign concepts, particularly the user journey maps I'd created based on different fitness experience levels. "This shows real insight into our potential new customers," the client's marketing director commented, "especially how you've mapped the emotional journey of someone just beginning fitness." At the end of the presentation, Mark made an announcement that clearly wasn't expected by everyone on the team. "Based on the work done so far, I'm assigning Nadia as lead for the implementation phase should we win this contract." I noticed Jessica's hands tighten around her portfolio, her knuckles turning white. The client team seemed pleased with the decision, asking me several follow-up questions before they departed. As soon as they left our conference room, Jessica confronted me in the hallway. "You think you're so perfect now that you've lost weight?" she hissed, keeping her voice low but intense. "This was my account first. You're using your whole transformation story to manipulate Mark and steal opportunities." Before I could respond, she walked away, leaving me shaken. I returned to my desk to find my personal protein shaker had been tampered with, the lid not fully closed, causing powder to spill inside my desk drawer. It seemed too specific to be an accident. The next day, an office-wide email from Jessica appeared in everyone's inbox. Subject: promoting healthy body image in our workplace team. As we strive to create an inclusive environment, let's be mindful of how conversations about weight dieting and body size might affect those around us. Comments celebrating weight loss can unintentionally perpetuate harmful standards and trigger those with body image concerns. Let's focus on professional achievements rather than physical appearances. Jessica Miller, Senior Marketing Specialist. While the message seemed reasonable on the surface, the timing and context made its target clear. Several colleagues glanced at me after reading it, creating exactly the uncomfortable attention Jessica had supposedly wanted to prevent. That afternoon, Alicia sent me a private message with screenshots of Jessica's recent social media posts. There, for her hundreds of followers to see, were thinly veiled references to weight-obsessed coworkers and how some people think dropping pounds makes them superior. I began documenting every incident in a personal journal, noting dates, times, and any witnesses. When Jessica started taking photos of my lunch, supposedly for her food blog, I added that to my records too. My sleep suffered as anxiety about work increased. I started waking at 3 a.m., mentally rehearsing how to handle potential confrontations the next day. My concentration wavered during meetings as I became hyper-aware of Jessica's every movement and expression. Was that eye roll directed at me? Was she texting about me to Dana? The mental energy spent on these concerns was exhausting. 3 days after the client presentation, an email from Dana appeared in my inbox, requesting a meeting to discuss a workplace concern. No further details were provided. I assumed it was a follow-up to my previous conversation about the rumors Jessica had been spreading. When I arrived at the designated conference room, I was surprised to find both Dana and Jessica waiting. Dana gestured for me to sit across from them, their united front immediately putting me on the defensive. "Thank you for coming, Nadia," Dana began formally. "Jessica has brought some concerns to my attention that we need to address. As you know, we strive to maintain a comfortable working environment for everyone. Jessica sat with perfect posture, a folder neatly placed before her. This isn't easy for me, she began, her voice taking on a vulnerable quality I'd never heard before. But Nadia's constant focus on her weight loss has been extremely triggering for my past eating disorder. I stared in disbelief as she continued. Every day there's some mention of calories, exercise, or her transformation. People parade by her desk to compliment her, and she encourages it. As someone who struggled with body image issues, this creates a hostile environment for me. Dana nodded sympathetically while I tried to process this unexpected accusation. Jessica has been with us for 4 years with an excellent record, Dana added. Her concerns are valid from an HR perspective. Finding my voice, I responded, I appreciate the sensitivity of eating disorders, but I've never discussed calories in the office. My health journey has been private except when others ask me directly. Jessica pulled out printed photos from her folder, pictures of me eating lunch, standing by the water cooler, even walking into the building. You wear deliberately form-fitting clothes now, she claimed. You bring attention to your weight loss intentionally. The conversation took an even more shocking turn when Jessica made her demands. I need Nadia to provide medical documentation that her weight loss is necessary and supervised, she stated. Without that, her behavior should be considered potentially harmful to the workplace. Medical documentation, I repeated, stunned. My health information is private. Dana cleared her throat. While we can't force you to provide medical records, we do need to address the discomfort being created. Perhaps you could be more discreet about your lifestyle changes. I'm being asked to provide medical records because I eat healthy lunches and my clothes fit properly, I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. We're asking you to be sensitive to those around you, Dana corrected. Perhaps working from home for the next 2 weeks would give everyone some space while we sort this out. I felt a wave of disbelief. The client is deciding on our proposal within the next 10 days. As project lead, I need to be available for questions and follow-up. We can have others handle that temporarily, Dana said dismissively. This is about creating a psychologically safe workplace. I left the meeting feeling completely blindsided. That evening, I called my friend Tanya, who worked as an HR director at another company. This sounds highly unusual, Tanya said after I explained the situation. Requesting medical documentation in this context is inappropriate, and having the complainant present during an HR meeting about herself, that's not standard procedure. She advised me to document everything and consult our employee handbook regarding harassment policies. Also find out if there's anyone above Dana you can speak with if necessary. Through some casual conversations with colleagues, I discovered that Jessica and Dana had been college roommates and remained close friends, information that explained the unusual handling of the complaint, but should have been disclosed as a conflict of interest. The next morning, an email from Mark expressed confusion about my sudden remote work status. The client specifically asked for you to lead the follow-up discussion, he wrote. Dana mentioned something about temporary reassignment, but didn't provide details. What's going on? Before I could formulate a response, I received the meeting agenda for the client follow-up with Jessica listed as the lead presenter. My role had been reduced to resource support as needed. My stomach sank as I realized the implications. Not only had my workplace become hostile, but my professional opportunities were now being affected. The bonus I had been counting on seemed increasingly unlikely. Returning to the office after 2 weeks of mandatory remote work felt like entering a different company. Conversations stopped when I approached the break room. Colleagues who had previously been friendly now gave brief professional nods before turning away. Mark requested a meeting on my first day back. I hoped he would provide the support that had been lacking from HR. Nadia, I value your contributions, he began, clearly uncomfortable. But I need to inform you that the bonus structure for the fitness company project has been adjusted. My heart sank as he explained that due to team contribution concerns, and my absence during critical follow-up phases, my potential bonus had been reduced by 60%. Jessica, meanwhile, had been credited with stepping up to lead during a transition period. "I don't understand," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "I was asked to work remotely by HR. I didn't choose to step back from the project." Mark shifted uncomfortably. "I'm not privy to all the HR discussions. I can only make decisions based on who was actively working on deliverables." During the department meeting that afternoon, Jessica presented the progress on her project, with the fitness company occasionally throwing glances my way. The client had signed the contract representing one of our biggest wins this quarter. As I gathered my things to leave that evening, I overheard Jessica speaking with Dana near the elevator. "Thanks for handling that situation," Jessica said. "It worked out perfectly." "That's what friends are for," Dana replied. "Besides, the company culture needs to be protected." I froze, pretending to search for something in my bag, while they continued their conversation, unaware of my presence. "Do you think she suspects anything?" Jessica asked. "Even if she does, what can she do about it?" Dana laughed. "It's her word against ours, and I'm HR." Their conversation confirmed what I had suspected, but hadn't wanted to believe this was a deliberate campaign to undermine me professionally. The next day, Alicia pulled me into an empty conference room. "I wasn't going to get involved," she said, looking nervous. "But this has gone too far. You're not the first person Jessica has targeted." She explained that Jessica had a pattern of undermining colleagues she perceived as threats, particularly women who received positive attention. 2 former employees had apparently left the company after similar campaigns of subtle harassment. "Everyone's too afraid of her to speak up," Alicia explained. "She has a way of making people regret crossing her." That afternoon, I opened my desk drawer to find printed photos of me at my previous weight, with unflattering circles and arrows added in red marker. The message was clear. This was personal, and it was escalating. I went home that evening and cried for the first time since the whole ordeal began. I considered quitting finding a new job would be easier than fighting this increasingly toxic situation. But something inside me refused to be driven out of a position I had earned through hard work. That night, I researched state workplace harassment laws and company policies. I discovered that our employee handbook had specific protocols for harassment complaints that hadn't been followed in my case. I also learned about documenting hostile work environments and the concept of retaliation. I consulted with an employment lawyer who specialized in workplace discrimination. After reviewing my situation, she was clear. You have a strong case for hostile work environment and potentially discriminatory practices, especially given the conflict of interest between the HR manager and your colleague. Instead of quitting, I developed a strategic plan. I would remain professional, continue documenting everything, and prepare to take my case to higher authorities within the company. If that failed, my lawyer assured me we had options for external recourse. I created a detailed timeline of all incidents, noting witnesses, evidence, and policy violations. I began backing up all work emails and communications. I carefully documented my contributions to projects that Jessica was now taking credit for. Rather than confronting Jessica or Dana directly, I would use their own tactics against them: careful documentation, strategic patience, and knowledge of company policies. My first step was sending a meeting request to Victoria Lawson, our company's senior HR director, who oversaw Dana's department. I marked it as confidential and of high importance. Meanwhile, I discreetly approached other colleagues who Alicia had mentioned might have experienced similar treatment from Jessica. While most were reluctant to get directly involved, 2 former team members, who had since transferred to other departments, agreed to provide written statements about their experiences. "Jessica made my life miserable after I received recognition for the Westlake project," wrote Tyler from the design team. "Suddenly, my ideas were being criticized in meetings, my emails were being forwarded to management with concerns, and rumors about my work ethic started circulating." Sarah from the content team had a similar story. After my blog post was featured on the company website, Jessica began excluding me from team discussions and telling others I was difficult to work with. When I approached HR, Dana suggested I needed to try harder to get along with teammates. I continued documenting my own work contributions despite the hostile environment. I maintained detailed records of all projects, client communications, and creative assets I developed, creating a paper trail that would clearly establish my professional contributions regardless of who took credit verbally. A breakthrough came when the fitness company client reached out to me directly, bypassing the new team structure. "Nadia, we really appreciated your insights during the presentation," their marketing director wrote. "Could you clarify some details about the user journey maps you created? Jessica has been helping us, but she seems unfamiliar with some of the concepts you presented." I forwarded this email to my personal account as evidence that my work was being misrepresented, and I responded professionally to maintain the client relationship. When my meeting with Victoria Lawson finally arrived, I was prepared with a thoroughly organized presentation of evidence. "Thank you for meeting with me." I began placing a neatly labeled folder on the desk. "I've documented a concerning pattern of workplace harassment and potentially discriminatory behavior that hasn't been properly addressed." Victoria's expression remained neutral as I methodically presented my evidence: the email timeline, witness statements, performance reviews, client feedback, documentation of policy violations, photos of tampered belongings, and screenshots of Jessica's social media posts. I also highlighted the clear conflict of interest in having Dana handle complaints about her close friend and the policy violations in how my complaint had been managed compared to Jessica's. "Our handbook clearly states that harassment complaints should be investigated by an uninvolved HR representative," I noted. Having Jessica present during my HR meeting violated Company Policy Section 4.3. As Victoria reviewed the evidence, her professional demeanor cracked slightly. "How long has this been going on?" she asked. "The targeted behavior began approximately 8 months ago, coinciding with my health improvements. It escalated significantly after I was assigned to lead the fitness company project." Victoria thanked me for bringing this to her attention and assured me she would investigate thoroughly. "This will remain confidential while we review the information. I appreciate the professional way you've documented these concerns." 3 days later, the company announced a comprehensive audit of HR practices and the appointment of an external investigator to review recent harassment claims. Dana was conspicuously absent from the office following this announcement. Jessica's behavior shifted dramatically as rumors of the investigation spread. She began attempting to rewrite history, approaching colleagues with revised versions of past events. "I've always supported Nadia's health journey," I overheard her telling a coworker. "Any tension was just misunderstanding about project responsibilities." Mark requested a private meeting where he apologized for not addressing the situation sooner. "I should have asked more questions when you were suddenly removed from the project," he admitted. "I'm sorry I didn't recognize what was happening." A week into the investigation, Dana was placed on administrative leave pending review. Jessica grew increasingly frantic, alternating between attempting to befriend people who might speak to investigators and making veiled threats about loyalty. In a surprising turn of events, I received an email reinstating me as project lead for the fitness company account, with Victoria copying senior management to formally recognize my original contributions to winning the client. The investigation concluded after 3 intensive weeks. I was called to Victoria's office to hear the results before the official announcement. "The findings are clear," Victoria stated, her tone somber but resolute. "There has been a pattern of targeted harassment against you and potentially others. The company is taking immediate corrective action." Jessica was terminated for workplace harassment, with the investigation finding substantial evidence of her campaign against me and at least 3 other employees over the past 2 years. "We have a zero-tolerance policy for bullying," Victoria explained. "The evidence you provided, combined with our investigation, showed clear violations of multiple company policies." Dana wasn't fired, but was reassigned to a different department after receiving a formal reprimand for mishandling complaints and conflict of interest violations. She would no longer work in HR. The company is implementing mandatory anti-harassment training for all employees with special sessions for managers. Victoria added, "We're also revising our HR protocols to prevent similar situations in the future." The most unexpected outcome was the compensation decision. Not only would I receive my full project bonus, but the company also offered additional compensation for the emotional distress and professional impact I had experienced. "We want to make this right," Victoria explained. "Your professionalism throughout this difficult situation has been noted by senior management." Mark worked diligently to rebuild trust within the team, holding open discussions about respect in the workplace and creating new collaboration processes to ensure everyone's contributions were recognized. The weeks following these changes were challenging but healing. Some colleagues apologized for not speaking up sooner or for believing rumors. Others simply resumed normal professional relationships without acknowledging the past tension. I found unexpected strength in the aftermath. My confidence had been tested, but ultimately reinforced by standing up for myself. The experience connected me with colleagues who had faced similar situations, creating a support network I hadn't realized I needed. The company established an employee resource group focused on workplace wellness and respect with Victoria, asking me to serve as one of its advisors. This formal recognition of my experience as valuable perspective represented healing on an organizational level. The fitness company project became one of our most successful campaigns, eventually leading to a promotion opportunity that I accepted 6 months later. The professional growth I had feared losing became even more substantial than I had initially hoped. But the most important growth happened internally. I learned crucial lessons about documentation, recognizing when to escalate concerns, understanding workplace rights, setting boundaries with toxic people, finding strength in vulnerability, and not allowing others' insecurities to diminish personal achievements. I also learned that maintaining both physical and emotional health requires vigilance and self-advocacy. The journey to improve my physical health unexpectedly became a catalyst for strengthening my emotional resilience and professional boundaries. Looking back on that difficult period, I recognize that what Jessica and Dana never understood was that my transformation wasn't just physical. The discipline, consistency, and self-respect I developed through my health journey gave me the foundation to stand firm when faced with injustice. Today, I approach both my health and my career with confidence that comes from knowing my worth isn't determined by others' perceptions. True wellness encompasses standing up for yourself, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. Have you ever dealt with workplace bullying or had someone try to undermine your success? Leave a comment below sharing how you handled it. Don't forget to like this video if you found my story helpful and subscribe for more real-life experiences about overcoming workplace challenges. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, no one has the right to diminish your achievements or well-being. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.